All right, guys, here's the exterior of the diesel heater build, starting with the front of it and the fuel tank. It's a 5-liter fuel tank with a standpipe from the top going down with a pickup at the bottom. I didn't like that some of the other units on the market had the traditional spigot out of the side with the line then running around. I thought that it was A, a leak point, and B, an area where it could get snagged and then create a leak. I thought having the pipe up top and then immediately dumping back down into the case gave you the least likelihood that you were going to get snagged on something else. Moving around to the side, you'll see what I call the hot side of the case. Down here is our marine exhaust pipe that allows the exhaust to exit the case without damaging the hard plastic. These 3 holes here will be replaced with a nice vent like you'll see on the other side, which allow the computer fan to move cool air through the case and help to exhaust any heat that this thing does produce. Up top here is where you'll put your 60mm hot air hose and run it down to your tent. You'll get nice, clean, warm, dry air coming out of here all night long. The cold side of the unit is here. You'll see there's this real nice 3D printed intake vent and then a standard SAE power port. Takes one of these small standard units you can find anywhere, simply plugs into the side. That's the only thing you need for this thing to start making warm air for you. Again, not like the other units on the market where you've got exhaust pipes hanging out of one side and intake pipes hanging out of the other. All right, guys, here's the interior of my diesel heater build. As you can see, it's small and compact with everything actually inside and none of the exhaust and intake ports hanging off like you'll see on other builds. Heater unit itself sits here, cool air intake in through this side, your warm air out to your tent on that side. The hot side also has the exhaust exiting. We use a marine adapter so that the exhaust can pass through the plastic case without melting it or destroying it. And then on the inside, I've got some fiberglass wrap here to keep heat from damaging the fuel line, wires, or fresh air intake. To keep things moving along, I've got a computer fan here, spins at 3,000 RPMs, moving air through the case, supplying fresh air to our intake, and then making sure that exhaust and warm air leaves the case on that side. The controller for the unit sits up here, and you'll see when I plug it in, it'll come to life. Wasn't worried about having the control unit inside the tent. It does have a thermostat function, but didn't want to monkey with the unit constantly going through a shutdown and then power up cycle to maintain temp. Thought it was much better to flip it into Hertz mode, where you can just throttle the fan speed up or down. In my past experiences with a unit similar to this, you preheat the tent on high for 10 minutes, turn it down to low, and let it run for the rest of the night. If you do need to make an adjustment, this unit comes with a remote control stored inside. You can simply turn it on, turn it off, or adjust the fan speed, close that, and go back to sleep for the rest of the night. The case also has storage for an external exhaust pipe in the event you did want to direct the exhaust in a different way. Pops out of here and simply hooks to the exterior here, where you could move it in any direction that you want to move it away from the case. I'll go ahead and get it plugged in so you guys can see it fire up. You'll see the LCD screen come on. Not sure if the camera can see it, but it's now on with current temperature. Battery gives you a little description of the unit itself, and as you fire it up, it starts clicking and popping and making noises. The sound that you hear is our computer fan firing up. When the entire case is closed, it draws cool air into the case through the exhaust over here, again to ventilate any heat, keep things from getting too hot inside. I'll go ahead and fire it up for you here on the bench. It'll be a quick just test unit so you guys can hear and see it. You take your remote, simply hit the on button. You'll hear it click. And if you can see, it's now flashing on. The fan's running. You can see the glow plug is fired up. And on this side, there's actually air starting to move through the unit. Don't want to fire it up inside the garage, so I'm going to go ahead and shut her down. And I'll take it outside so you guys can see what it actually does. Okay. Okay, it's been about 2 minutes. The glow plug has run through its routine. You can now hear the fuel pump starting to prime the heater. And if you listen in the background, you can hear the diesel engine starting to fire up and the fan spinning. It's now been running for a grand total of about 4 minutes. It's still running through its warm-up cycle. And we've got a reading of 99 degrees coming out of the hot air, with the exhaust running up at 113. At about the 5.5 minute mark, it's gone through its warm-up routine, and you can hear it starting to back down and starting to run at its lowest setting. Exterior, almost 130 degrees coming out of the warm air vent, which is what you would hook up to your tent. And our exhaust running up at about 160. The unit's designed to run like this with no exterior pipes. However, an exterior exhaust pipe and muffler was taken into account for. They store inside the case. You can hook those up and quiet this thing down even further. Keep in mind this is going to be about 2 meters or so from your tent, so the noises that you hear it doing right now will be just a little bit muffled. Plus, you're inside your tent or up on top of the truck in your rooftop. So here's the optional exhaust piece that I built into the case. Once you hook it up, see there that it's gotten even quieter still, and it would be pointing towards out and away from the tent. Total runtime so far now is about 7.5 minutes. At this point, you're ready to hook up your hose here to the top vent, plumb it inside your ground tent or rooftop tent, and enjoy a nice warm evening. Now I'm going to run it through the shutdown routine just so you guys can see that. Nothing special, except you'll just see that it takes about 2 minutes or so for it to shut itself down. I'm going to take the muffler off of it so you guys can hear. You'll notice I was able to grab the exhaust pipe. I'm not worried about being burnt. I've got everything wrapped in exhaust wrap. So we'll go ahead and hit the off button. You can hear the pump immediately stops going, and you guys can even hear it, the fan is now running through its cool down procedure. Exhaust, all the hot air is still running at about 130 degrees. We'll check back and see how far it cools off once it's done. Now been about 2 minutes through the shutdown procedure. Already dropped about 10 degrees. And at this point, the fan is now off, and we were dropping to all the way down to 88 degrees at its coolest point. Just under 10 minutes total for a complete fire up and then cool down. And that wraps up the video. Thanks for watching, guys.